Hi everyone, welcome to Sho-Time Talk. This is your host, Tom Shimura. 皆さんこんにちは。Sho-Time トークを運営する志村朋哉です。このチャンネルではアメリカの専門家を交えて大谷翔平選手やメジャーリーグについて本音で語っています。最後までお楽しみください。Let's talk about how Americans look at international baseball competition. What do you know about the U.S. national team this year in the Olympics?
I don't know very much. I know that it's a lot of players that used to be in the major leagues and are no longer in the major leagues. It's obviously not the best baseball players our country can produce because they're playing in the major leagues and they're not taking time out for the Olympics. So I think that Americans don't really view baseball in the Olympics as anything really special just because they're not the best players. It's sort of the leftover players. Basically, anybody who's on a 40-man roster, which is your 26 major leaguers plus 14 of your minor leaguers, are not allowed to play in the Olympics. And I think that it's unfortunate that that's just the way it is, but it's hard to figure out a way around it. They're not going to stop the Major League Baseball season for 2 weeks to have them play in the Olympics. First of all, it would be difficult for the teams. They would lose a lot of money from losing those games. And I think for all the players who are not in the Olympics would not like it because they would just not be playing and they would be almost like starting over the season, you know, when they had to come back 2 weeks later. So there's really not a good answer for it. But as long as the best major leaguers are not in the Olympics, I don't think Americans are really going to be very interested.
Are you going to watch any games?
I might watch a little bit if I can catch the games, but I'm probably not going to be super interested.
How about World Baseball Classic? Does that get more attention from American fans?
Yes, definitely. The World Baseball Classic is much more interesting because you still don't get all the top major leaguers, but you get a lot more of them. And that is because that is an event that is basically put on by Major League Baseball. And they do it when it's in spring training. So there's no regular season games that anybody's missing. Nobody's really missing anything as far as regular season Major League Baseball. And Major League Baseball wants to promote it because it attracts fans from all over the world. And that's what they're trying to do, is to build more fans around the world. I think it would be great if all the top major leaguers played in the World Baseball Classic. And then we could really see, you know, what the Olympics could be if they ever could have that. But it's, you know, because of the time of the year that the Olympics are, unless they want to hold the Summer Olympics in February one year, I don't think you can really have baseball and the Olympics coexist. So that's the void that the World Baseball Classic fills.
What keeps top major leaguers from competing in the World Baseball Classic? Some of them at least.
Yeah, I think that some of them just feel like it detracts from their preparation for the season. It adds some injury risk that you wouldn't have normally. You know, in spring training, you're sort of building up slowly to get yourself ready for April 1st or whenever the season starts. And you play spring training games at kind of a different level than you play regular season games. If you're playing the World Baseball Classic, you have to pretty much be full go like you would in the regular season, but you have to do it, you know, March 1st instead of April 1st. Some players just aren't ready for that, and they think it's an injury risk for them. A lot of players don't believe that. They believe that they can get ready, and so that's why you still do get a lot of good players playing the WBC, just not all of them.
What are the incentives for them to play in the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, I think Major League Baseball basically makes incentives for the players. I think they pay them something, first of all. I think there's insurance that the teams are provided. So if a player gets injured during the World Baseball Classic, I think his team is compensated somehow. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I think it's true. And I just think Major League Baseball definitely encourages players to do it because it's their event, and they would rather have the best players playing in the World Baseball Classic than spring training games.
How much value do you put on some countries winning the World Baseball Classic? What does it say about the competition in that country, or the level of talent in those countries?
Well, I think it definitely shows something, but it's not really the full picture because, you know, even though you do get more of the best players than in the Olympics, certainly you still don't get all of them. So it's still not totally representative of the country that the best players are from. Obviously, the United States is like 70% of the players in the major leagues. So if you were to take every single eligible player and put them together the United States would win because they have the most talent, just the fact of having 60 or 70% of the players. But then when you start to pare down some of that and you don't get all the best players from the United States, and it's also a very short tournament, you know, baseball is decided over the long run. The season's 162 games, and then the playoffs are a month. The World Baseball Classic, you're playing maybe 10 games. It's not going to be a good measuring stick, but it is certainly something that's countries are proud of when they win, and it means something, but it's not really the best indicator of what the best talent is in baseball.
Because so much of baseball are chances, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just you know, there's a reason the season is 162 games, because it takes that long, you know, in baseball to really identify the best teams. So, and even the baseball playoffs are not the best indication of the best team either, because that's a pretty small sample itself. When you're talking about a best of 7 series, the best team doesn't always win. The only real indication of, you know, what the best team is 162. But the reason they have the playoffs is just because that's a lot more exciting than just handing the trophy to the team that wins the most games out of 162. That would not be very entertaining. So that's why they have the playoffs.